know if the Pelicans aren't texting back, why are the Lakers still pursuing this if there doesn't seem to be even interest?
Yeah, I mean, I guess based on Woj's reporting yesterday that they're not at this point because they don't want to keep bidding against themselves and raising this offer without hearing anything from New Orleans. I think at this point, really, the ball is very much in the Pelicans' court. I mean, if they want to either take the proposals that are out there or come back with, a counter offer that maybe is, not dramatically higher than that, then that's the chance that something gets done between now and the deadline. I'm sure that, the discussion happening right now in the Pelicans front office is, Zach Lowe wrote about very well today on espn.com is, is this enough, or do we still want to wait and see what Boston's willing to offer this summer?
I don't see why, if you are Dell Dumps, if you're anybody in the rather complicated front office there in New Orleans, I don't see why you wouldn't wait. The offer from the Lakers would be there come June or July, so why not wait around and see where the draft picks fall and see what you could get there. If this deal doesn't get done, let's say Anthony Davis is still a Pelican by this time tomorrow and actually by the NBA trade deadline here, Kevin, give us the most impactful free agent youth, or rather trade target that'll be out there that'll make the biggest difference in the second half.
I think probably Mike Conley at this point, as far as making a difference in the playoff race. If he goes to Utah in particular, that could elevate the Jazz into the mix in that kind of second tier in the Western Conference of teams competing to, one of them is going to get to the Western Conference Finals and have their shot, presumably at the Warriors. And, I don't think Utah is in that group without Mike Conley, but they get him involved into it.
Listening to the Le Batard show prior to this one coming on, and they were having fun with the fact that Le Batard seems to believe that there really isn't a blockbuster every year, like that earth-shattering trade. Like there was one last year, maybe a couple of years prior to that, there were just little ones. How much action? Because Thon Maker for Stanley Johnson, Tobias Harris, that was a pretty sizable move. In terms of where we sit about 24 hours from the deadline, let's take Anthony Davis out of that because I think that's going to be more flirtation than action. How much do you believe that there's that deal that's hanging out there that maybe we're not even aware of that could happen by tomorrow?
I mean, we could be surprised. No one saw this Tobias Harris trade coming, and even though he's not the biggest name in the world, wasn't an all-star this year, was just a candidate for it. It still kind of got some sizable ramifications, not only for the Sixers and Clippers, but then for a bunch of other teams. So we could be surprised. I think it's the Memphis guys. Conley and Gasol are probably the biggest names that end up getting traded most likely tomorrow, and then a number of kind of smaller moves, contenders filling out their rotation.
We're talking with Kevin Peltner, NBA writer for ESPN, co-host of the self-described fabulous Pelton cast. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just vouch for that. It is fabulous. And Kevin, with regard to Tobias Harris on his new team, just from a basketball standpoint on court, how is there enough ball to go around in Philadelphia with Jimmy Butler, now Tobias, and obviously Ben Simmons and Embiid?
Yeah, that's going to be the question. I mean, I don't think Harris comes in with kind of the same expectations of being the man, getting the ball on a regular basis as those other three guys. And the nice thing about it in terms of the fit is, Butler was a little bit questionable because of the fact that he's not a great catch-and-shoot option. Harris is. He's shooting over 40% from three-point range this year. Really, in some ways, it feels like, if the Sixers hadn't made the Butler trade and it just made this trade, it would make a lot more sense for them than the combination of both of them.
Kevin, when you see where the NBA is right now, I maintain that it's a 4.5, maybe 5-team league that can win a championship. And you see these franchises this time of year, they dump salary, they try to acquire draft picks, they give up on the now to maybe play for the future with these max contracts. The Knicks are the perfect example of that. Do you believe the NBA has a problem with teams forgetting about the now and trying to go for a future that may or may not even exist?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the Clippers are probably the more interesting example because it's not like the Knicks were doing anything this year anyway. Like, they lose Kristaps Porzingis, that's a concern, but he wasn't playing due to his ACL injury. But the Clippers are fascinating because they were the favorites, I think, to get the 8th seed in the West. They moved 2.5 ahead of the Lakers with their win in the Lakers blowout loss last night. the Kings being in between those two teams. And they decided to punt on that because of the fact that the Sixers kind of overwhelmed them with draft picks in this offer, and they knew that, if they are able to sign 2 max free agents this summer, as they hope, that Harris probably wouldn't be coming back, that he wouldn't be coming back in that scenario. So that's kind of the fascinating one. But I feel like, fans, it's kind of like college recruiting. They're so invested in what's happening next, who can we get, the draft, everything like that, I don't know if there is the kind of objection to it that, you might see in a sport that wasn't as focused on the future.
Again, he's an NBA writer for ESPN. He has the columns and the grades up right now. I think some of it's on ESPN Plus, but if you're not on ESPN Plus, what are you even doing with your life? And he's Kevin Pelton, and he's with us on the Stephen A. Smith Show. And you have grades up for the Thon Maker Stanley Johnson swap, but I'm more interested in the Tobias Harris trade. Who got the better of this? Because I think first blush, if you're a Sixer fan or even just paying attention in the Eastern Conference, you're like, oh, Philly got Boban, Boban and Embiid are going to be on the same team, but they got Tobias Harris. And then there are people who are like, no. The smart money here is on the Clippers winning this deal. Who won this trade, Kevin?
Yeah, I think the Clippers. And it's really a short-term versus long-term thing. I mean, the Sixers are betting on, improving their chances of getting the NBA Finals this year. The next few years, this starting 5 that they have is deep as any team in the league now. They don't, J.J. Redick also is a free agent. They'll have to re-sign him in addition to Harris and Butler. But, if they bring back those 5 guys, that's as deep as anyone around. Now, the question, though, is, number one, the cost, because, Harris is going to get a max offer from someone else. You're going to have to either max him out or come very close. Butler, similar situation. You re-sign both of those guys, and then in a year, Ben Simmons comes up for an extension. He becomes a max player. All of a sudden, you're looking at a giant luxury tax bill. You don't necessarily have the draft picks coming in because you've given out 2 of those in this trade. And that's where I think the long term starts to hurt the Sixers, whereas the Clippers have this fascinating thing where, another thing I wrote about is I don't think the Lakers should go all in on Anthony Davis because of the fact that, they're going to be so thin and have very few ways to improve. Even if the Clippers go out and sign a couple max guys, they're still going to have some other useful pieces on the roster. And now they've got young players, Landry Shamet, that they added in this trade, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and draft picks coming in. They're in a position to have kind of more sustainable success, I think.
All right, Kevin Pelton, ESPN NBA insider, with some nuggets the day before the trade deadline. Kevin, thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
The NBA has worked itself into this. He was just going over all of these moves, and I give the NBA a lot of credit because, by and large, it's the football society, right? Like, football is the one everybody wants to talk about. But all of the deals and happenings that go on into the NBA, they do such a good job of grabbing the news cycle. But I'm going to need someone to give me one team that can beat the Warriors for me to take it all seriously. Give me one.
Right now or by this time tomorrow?
When Boogie gets 10 games in and he's feeling good, dish me one team that can make this conversation interesting. It's not.
I think Denver's a problem. I think Denver's a problem for anybody. But in a 7-game series, like I could see Denver jumping up and getting Golden State if we're 3 of 5, like it used to be. But they're too high seeded; they wouldn't match up. I don't see it, man. I don't. Not this year. But Boogie's not coming back. That's the thing.
Okay, but that's
so it's a 1-year problem.
I'm living 1-year problem. They've won the last 2 titles.
No, but it's a 1-year. It's like Golden State has weaknesses without Boogie Cousins. We saw that last year. I mean, if
Chris Paul's healthy,
if you and I are out there and we luck into like 1 made 3 in that Game 7 for Houston, the Rockets go to the finals. We don't know what's going on. So they're not the world beaters that they were. The NBA has caught up. The league has caught up to Golden State enough to throw some doubt into these playoffs.
Okay,
but with Boogie, you're right. I mean, it's Death Star.
That's frightening.
2.0.
I'm going to give you right now. We've got to come up with a bet by the end of the show.
Come up with a bet?
I will take Golden State. I will give you the field.
Man. All right.
We'll come up with something.
All right.
Maybe shave your head.
I'm not shaving my head. It's not happening. I don't know what's going to come back. Like, I don't have the faith in it coming back.
I wouldn't either if I were you.
Yeah,
it's very thin.
It's not
so
thin.
It's thin.
That's actually rude. It's what it is the hairline itself is higher than it
is
used to
higher,
be.
yeah.
So, like, what's here is here, but like I don't want to burn the crops.
So what happens when you go to get a haircut? Do you wonder like, oh, we're gonna have that conversation with like, you know what, Randy, it's the receding is well into the re-seeding.
No, I don't have that conversation. The conversation that I'll have is like, if you see something that shouldn't be there, tell me.
Like see something, say something.
Otherwise, let me sleep. Like I'll fall asleep in that chair.
Will you?
Oh yeah.
I can't.
I do.
How?
Because I don't get the 12 hours of sleep that you get. That's the point.
So wait a second. How long does a haircut take?
For me,
15, 20 minutes?
Well, I got some.
I
got some stuff.
This is where I'm not supposed to tell you.
No, I got some color that
Randy
sets in.
colors his hair.
I've been going gray since I was 16, man.
You were that guy.
What do you mean that guy? I was touched by God. Sorry.
What the hell does that mean? With gray hair?
Yeah, it wasn't. You can have good blessings and bad blessings, and that's a bad one. It wasn't good.
You were unbelievable.
We should have had a break 2 minutes ago.
No, I'm not. Clock integrity means nothing to me right now when I get to talk about your gray hair.
I need to be saved by this bell.
Coming up next, what used to be a favorite day of mine has been ruined.
Oh, no.
And they're taking some of my most favorite things away from me.
The McRib?
Yeah. Is that coming back? Matt Berry, Reddit's got it for Stephen A. Smith. That coming up next.
Hey, do you have frequent heartburn? Like the kind where you have antacid stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day. It'll last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. So kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
With 1-800-Flowers.com, Valentine's is a no-brainer. They have the best bouquets and deals around. The 18-stem Enchanted Rose Medley for $29.99 or double it to the 36 stems for $20 more. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V.